Today, cartoons are bigger than ever, and that means they're breaking through the fourth wall harder than they ever have before. The freedom of animation lets cartoons play around with the fourth wall and speak directly to the audience, kinda like what we're doing right now, but, within the context of the narrative. In this video, the Binger is taking you through some of the best fourth wall breaks in the history of cartoons. We'll look at everything from Sonic Boom to Futurama while highlighting these immersion-breaking gags. We'll also get into some of our own hijinks along the way. Get ready, because we're about to cover 10 times that cartoons utterly shattered the fourth wall. Make sure your screen doesn't crack from all this out-there animation doing its best to burst right through it. Today, most jokes in South Park are meta, or callbacks to previous plot points in the show. Breaking the fourth wall was pretty novel back when the show's 8th season aired in 2004 though. Wait, 2004? Oh god, we're old. Anyway, one of the show's first and best fourth wall breaks happened in the episode Cartman's Incredible Gift. Here, the character Miss Crabtree passes away, and the South Park police utilize Cartman's supposed psychic powers to solve the crime. If you don't remember Miss Crabtree, don't worry about it. This meta joke centers on the characters acknowledging that she was a C-list character that hadn't been on the show in a while.
I know she hadn't been in any recent episodes, but damn it, she deserved better than this!
While this fourth wall break is definitely funny in the moment, it's only gotten better with age. South Park is a dramatically different show than what it was when it premiered in 1997. The program thinning out some of its more one-note characters was a big part of its evolution. This gag isn't only funny, but it's also a big step in South Park turning into the weird and even more controversial show that it is today. The Simpsons has been at the heart of television for nearly 30 years. While it's definitely not the show it once was, there are more than enough great gags to fill the void. One of those jokes is exceptionally meta and happens in the season 10 episode Homer to the Max. Here, Homer points out that voice actors are paid far less than their live-action counterparts. The scene ends with someone doing a Ned Flanders impression and noting that most people can't tell the difference when a VA is replaced.
Plus, they can replace him and no one can tell the diddly difference.
What really makes this fourth wall break work, though, is that it happened during a dispute between the Simpsons VAs and production. This means that in this scene, the show is directly making fun of its own behind-the-scenes drama. This bit has gotten even better with age. In 2015, the voice actor who played Ned Flanders, among other characters, threatened to quit the show if he wasn't given a raise. So, not only is this joke hilarious, but it also nearly predicted the future. Fingers crossed the government doesn't start dropping domes on people anytime soon. Do you remember the Cartoon Network show Chowder? If you do, that makes you awesome, because that show didn't so much break the fourth wall as it did completely obliterate it. Nearly every episode of Chowder breaks the fourth wall, and the show finds increasingly clever ways to do so. The show's best fourth wall gag comes in the episode Shopping Spree, though. Here, Chowder and the gang spend so much money that they use up the show's animation budget. So the voice actors, while still in character, host a live-action car wash to raise enough money to animate and resolve the rest of the episode. This is an incredible gag that worked way better than it had any right to. Plenty of cartoons acknowledge that they're cartoons over the course of their run. Chowder, though, actually managed to work fourth wall breaks into the narrative of this episode. There were a lot of bizarre cartoons in the late 2000s, but Chowder's writing puts it a step above the rest. It was weird, wonderful, and went out of its way to tell you that in every episode. Even though Family Guy would become an absolute juggernaut on television by the mid-2000s, it actually had a rocky start. The show was cancelled several times and reworked constantly to earn its way back into Fox's lineup. While the first few seasons of Family Guy play it pretty straight, the fourth season goes full meta and immediately makes fun of the network that just cancelled it. The first episode in season 4 has a rare cold open and consists of Peter listing off all of Fox's recently cancelled shows. shows. It's actually pretty common for Fox shows to poke fun at the network, with other shows like The Simpsons doing it all the time. It was a bit ballsier of Family Guy to make fun of Fox though, since the network did just resuscitate the series. This more irreverent attitude did pay off for both Fox and Family Guy in the end. Even if it's out of its heyday now, the show is still incredibly popular and profitable, which just goes to show how well a show can do when its creators are given enough freedom. Just like Chowder did years before, The Amazing World of Gumball also did a running out of money fourth wall break. In the Season 3 episode, The Money, the Wattersons struggle with appearing in a Joy Burger ad to make some quick cash. This concept is already pretty meta since a lot of TV shows have product placements in episodes to fund production. What makes this fourth wall break so unique though is that the show's animation slowly breaks down as the characters run out of money. 2D characters lose their coloring and their mouths are no longer animated. 3D characters and backgrounds are reduced to wireframes and basic polygons. Eventually, the show is simplified to an animatic, and then just a series of sticky notes. It's almost educational how the show takes viewers through the animation process in reverse. Of course, the humor definitely comes first, and this shtick only gets funnier as it goes on. This episode also demonstrates that you can make a great product while still promoting other brands. Speaking of promotion, now would be a great time to subscribe to The Binger and click the bell icon. They're both in the bottom right corner of your screen, or in the settings if you're on mobile. This really helps the channel and keeps us from having to drop a link to a real-life Joy Burger in every video. Alright, back to the fourth wall breaks you came here for. Coming back to The Simpsons for a second, this show didn't just make fun of its own production, it also regularly mocked its staff and even creator Matt Groening. While there are plenty of examples of the show taking shots at Groening, the best is in the episode Mom and Pop Art. Here, Homer makes fun of a Matt Groening drawing hanging in a museum.
Matt Groening? What's he doing in a museum? He can barely draw.
And then a giant pencil immediately starts erasing him. Homer isn't actually erased though, and it turns out the pencil was just a part of another art exhibit. Lots of cartoons break the fourth wall to acknowledge that the people behind it are basically the gods of that universe. Even if it is kind of a power trip, it's a fun idea, especially when a show's creator is a well-known public figure. There are countless great gags in The Simpsons, and this is one of the show's best. The show may not be what it used to be, but there's no taking away its best jokes. Except for the Michael Jackson episode. Disney's never going to let that one out of the vault. Against all odds, the Sonic Boom cartoon is actually a delight and filled with some truly incredible jokes. One of the main sources for the show's incredible jokes is the Sonic franchise itself. If you didn't know, the Sonic franchise is, well, a raging dumpster fire. The Sonic series consists of maybe 5 great games, dozens of bad games, and cartoons and comics that don't overlap at all. Also, literally millions of pieces of uncomfortable or fetish-based fan art. Ugh. Maybe dumpster fire was too generous. It's more like a dumpster inferno. The Sonic Boom cartoon leaned into Sonic's weird history and community though, and routinely mocks it. Like when the Sonic characters repeat the criticisms lobbied against their games to an in-universe series of games. The brazenness of these digs are incredible, and anyone even remotely familiar with Sonic can appreciate them. If even an ounce of this creativity appears in the upcoming Sonic movie, it might end up being a pretty fun time after all, especially now that Sonic has fewer teeth. Blah. While fourth wall breaks are pretty mainstream in animation now, the Looney Tunes pioneered that kind of humor. While most Disney cartoons of the 40s and 50s played things pretty straight, Looney Tunes reveled in messing around with the medium. After all, Bugs Bunny breaks the fourth wall in nearly every episode by talking directly to the audience. One of the best fourth wall breaks in Looney Tunes, though, comes in the short Duck Amuck. Here, Daffy Duck is hamming it up until he realizes that the artist didn't draw in a background. What follows is Daffy Duck becoming increasingly frustrated with the artist's shenanigans until Daffy is completely erased. This joke is amazing because it could only happen in a cartoon. This sketch takes full advantage of the many affordances of the animation medium. It might seem somewhat basic today, but it was experimental and groundbreaking for its time. This really is a case of Looney Tunes walking so that cartoons today could run. Another of Matt Groening's two great animated shows, sorry not sorry Disenchantment, is Futurama. This sci-fi series is arguably better than The Simpsons and might have been one of the smartest shows on television. One of the most gut-punching fourth wall breaks in the entire series happens in the episode Stench and Stenchability. It's easy to miss, but when the episode's title card appears, the text below it reads, "Not the episode with the dead dog." This dark joke harkens back to one of the most emotionally devastating episodes in all of television, Jurassic Bark. This classic episode centers on Fry debating on reviving his fossilized dog from the 20th century. He decides not to, though, as he reasons that his dog had a full and fulfilling life after Fry was frozen. The episode ends with a flashback, though, and shows that Fry's dog, Seymour, actually spent his life waiting in vain for Fry to return. Yeah, it's really heavy, and the show joking about it makes it one of the darkest fourth wall breaks in this video. Season 2 and Season 3 of SpongeBob make up some of the best cartoons ever made, if not the best episodes of television. The voice acting is incredible, the animation still holds up, and people of all ages can appreciate the humor in these episodes. It's no surprise, then, that one of the best fourth wall breaks of all time happens in these episodes. In the Season 3 episode Squilliam Returns, SpongeBob forgets everything he's ever learned to become a terrific waiter. This is represented by an office of SpongeBob's in his brain shedding his memories. Then, one of the SpongeBobs breaks the fourth wall to point out to his boss and the audience that he's a metaphor for the concept of thought.
We don't even exist. We're just a clever visual metaphor.
Yeah, it's really weird and a lot of fun, which is pretty much how you can describe every episode in SpongeBob's heyday. Even if the show has probably been airing for too long, it's still at the top of the past 2 decades of cartoons. Oh god, SpongeBob is 20 years old. Ugh, we're ancient, man. What do you think of these animated fourth wall breaks? Do you have any that you think should have made it on this list? Let us know in the comments section below. And while you're there, remember to subscribe to The Binger and ring the bell icon. If you do that, you'll be able to see all of our upcoming videos before anyone else has a chance to.